Yay, no technical difficulties. Hi, everybody. I'm Jared. We're going to be the start of our webinar. We're going to be going over the essential IT stack for small businesses. And I want to assure you, I know this can be a really boring topic talking about technology. We're going to not read the slides to you. It's going to be very impromptu, conversational style, and we'll just go through it. We'll have a question and answers deal at the end. Feel free to put questions in the chat during, though, and Grant's going to be moderating that and looking for that. And if there is a really important question, we will pause and answer that during that slide. So we are going to go through some slides, and we'll get started. So who we are, right? We're Alpha Tech. We're a managed services provider here in Mesa, Arizona. All of our staff is here in Arizona, and our mission is to digitally protect and serve you. We're here to protect people. It's a crazy world out there on the internet nowadays. So I'm Jaret Carlson. I'll be your presenter. I'm the president of Alpha Tech. Here's our contact information. And I just threw in our YouTube channel. This will be is being recorded and will be put up on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to go check it out later if you like to. And without further ado, here's our agenda. And like I said, I'm not going to read it off to you. And just so you understand, some people might even be wondering what a stack is. So I like to think of it like a sandwich, and it's all the layers of the sandwich. And this sandwich is your security stack, or I shouldn't say the word in the definition. So the stack is the layers of tools, layers of services that you have in your IT environment to protect you. And we call that a stack in the industry. So most of these, and you'll see my mouse pointer moving around. I will try not to fidget with it too much. Most of these fit businesses of all sizes. Some get more and more important the bigger you get. Obviously, if you're under 5 people, you can do a lot of these things on your own. Some of these things are very affordable. You can get them. Some of them are even free. Like you can get a free password manager. They have them out there. We'll talk about that when we get to some of these. Some of these are a little more high level. You're going to want them when you're over 10, 20, 30 employees, but they're all equally important. They all do great things for your business and can help protect you. So we will get started. I feel like everybody's had a chance to read this. I don't want to just read them off, like I said, and we're going to go over every single one of these. I know the webinars can be really boring when they just read from the screen the whole time. So, and one other thing to point out, Alpha Tech in our main core package brings all these to the table, but this is not going to be a big sales webinar. I just want to educate you and teach you that why these things are important to have in your business. So, technology alignment meetings or alignment, we have a technology alignment manager here with us, and they go out once a month to help clients with this. And what this boils down to is once a month, once a quarter, definitely more than a couple times a year, you're going over all your technology and making sure it all still meets current business goals, current business needs. It's all up to date. It's backed up, set up properly. We use about 200 plus standards when we're doing this. It can obviously be a lot simpler if you're a smaller office or a smaller company, but you definitely want somebody in your company going into your router firewall, checking that it's up to date. Is it backed up? Most people don't realize those network switches in the back in the closet, those get updates too. They have vulnerabilities sometimes. Those need to get updated. So the point of a technology alignment meeting is to have either one team member even do the meeting by themselves or have a few team members pick who's going to be doing what, who's checking into what. You know, are the antiviruses all up to date on all the computers? Are all the computers getting their Windows updates? Do all the computers have antivirus? This is very important. We've seen breaches where, oh, that one computer got the virus and it just so happened it never had the antivirus installed on it. So technology alignment, very important. Can't stress that enough. And the bigger you get, the more important it gets and the bigger of a beast it becomes. So documentation with these alignments is also important too. Having documentation when you're doing the alignments is great to give you those good feelings of we're making progress in our business. You know, we're meeting all of the standards that we set for ourselves with our technology. And it just gives you those warm fuzzies as you start to check more things off the list as you go. It makes you feel accomplished. So very important. It can really plug some holes. We didn't realize we didn't even have antivirus on 3 of our machines, or hey, our firewall's 4 years out of date. Like that really opens up your business to some risk. And almost all of these are about mitigating risk. We want to get rid of risk in the business and creating efficiencies too. So, all right. The VCIO meetings. This one's a lot tougher when you're under 20 people, or I would say under 10 people for sure. Some companies have an internal CIO. You normally don't see that until they're above 40, 50 employees. But you can bring in a virtual chief information officer. And this is somebody with a high level of education in technology that can sit down with you and really guide your company on the right path. And it's not strictly technology based. They should also have a good understanding of business, and especially your business, so that they can sit down with you and make sure your what you envision success is going to happen through your technology. Technology brings a lot of efficiency to companies, especially with like AI coming out and all kinds of other fun little tools out there that could be industry specific. You want your VCIO to understand your industry, understand your business specifically, and then on top of that, obviously the technology, so they can help guide you on the right path. Again, the bigger you get, the more important this becomes. If you're a 1 to 3 man show, normally the owner can, self-educate and kind of lead that. But you do want to sit down every once in a while, even if you're a single man or single person company or a small company, and think about these things. Do some technology research, go out on the internet, find out what's going on in the industries, what's going on in your industry. Are there new standards your company has to meet? So typically the VCIO brings that to the table for you, or your CIO brings that to the table for you, and helps just guide the business on the path that you want to take with your technology to reach your quote unquote version of success. So really, really important. All right. So those are the higher level things. Now we're going to get into some more of the nitty gritty stuff. So next gen antivirus and EDR. I mean, everybody's known you need to have antivirus since the early 2000s, late 90s. You got to have an antivirus. Next gen antiviruses they've been around for a little while now. They use a little more sophisticated technology, like they're using AI, behavioral analysis, instead of just using a definition. So old school antivirus just had a definition. This is what this virus can do. This is the code it has. If you see this code, stop that code from running. Next gen does way more than that. And then there's another layer that's been added on top called an EDR, so endpoint detection and response. This takes the antivirus to the next level. It'll do stuff like if it detects a virus, take that machine off the network, or help you with narrowing down where the virus came from. It's a little more granular than just an antivirus. You want both of those in your business nowadays. 5+ years ago, you only needed the antivirus. Well, I shouldn't say only needed. You really wanted both for forever, but it got more common and more important to have the EDR nowadays on top of it. And speak with your IT people, speak with your software providers, whoever's supplying your antivirus. Most of them now do have a flavor that comes with an EDR on top of just the regular antivirus. Really good stuff, though. Antiviruses are still a necessity nowadays, unfortunately. Most viruses have morphed and changed. They're not coming through just like they used to, where you get the email and, well, I guess the email, yeah, but where you go to a bad website, you download a virus file, and now you're infected. That's very less common. Nowadays, it's all about email. Email is 93% of hacks, and we'll talk about that as we get to the email section. But yeah, so still need to have your next gen antivirus. It needs to be up to date. You need to make sure it's up to date. It's running on all computers. I definitely suggest a centrally managed antivirus. So there's one console to see all the computers and make sure they're all up to date. They're all protected. You have your list of computers, your list of installed antivirus copies, and you can check that regularly, hopefully when you're doing your TAM review, your technology alignment review. But still very important to have. That's a necessity. SOC SIEM. This one I love to see on companies over 10 employees. If you're less than 10, it can still make a lot of sense. But at 10, you definitely want to start having this. This is a security operations center. Most people don't realize this, but every computer in your organization is probably creating a couple hundred to a couple thousand logs a day. And not just the computers, the routers, the firewalls, those all create logs. The switches have logs. All of these things have information in them of what's going on in your environment. And a SOC SIEM tool gathers up all that information and analyzes it. So like here we use a SOC, we have a tool that uses AI, but then there's also a team behind that tool that's monitoring it 24/7, 365. If they see a security entry come through one of those logs, that's a security breach entry, where it just looks fishy or doesn't sound right. They normally raise red flags. They make phone calls. They jump on the phone calling your IT company, hopefully, or calling you directly. Hey, go turn that computer off. Some systems in the SOC software will even have a tool to shut that computer down or block it from the rest of the network. So that has to be done with software. I can't stress that enough. A SIEM, this SIEM part of it, that is aggregating and gathering up all the logs and analyzing them. We can be talking in a 20 user environment, tens of thousands, if not 100,000 logs a day. You have to have AI and tools doing this. It's just too much to have a human monitor these security logs. And some industries require this, like anything under HIPAA, CMMC compliance, which is the Department of Defense. They require that you're doing these things. And a lot of customers, I'm seeing more and more where our customers are requiring them to do these things. And we had a case recently where they were a customer of ours was being interviewed by a potential customer for them, and they wanted proof that they were doing these things before they would do business with them, because they were going to be giving them sensitive data. There was no industry regulations in this environment. It wasn't HIPAA. There was no DoD. This was just a customer of our customer being security conscious and wanting to make sure when they give them their information that it's not going to be, leaked out to the dark web. So more and more people are starting to require that you do these things. And SOC seem great way to go. Having a group of individuals and AI watching over your logs and your security systems 24/7 is really important. I'm probably going to say really important 1,000 times because I feel like all of this stuff is really important because I'm very passionate about this stuff, but I'll try to keep the repetitiveness down. So email security systems. Like I said earlier, 93% of breaches happen through email. If you're not protecting your email and putting something in place to stop phishing attacks, spoofing, and just all in all, monitoring your email systems, you're leaving yourself open to tons of risk. Another great thing that comes with a lot of these email protection tools that people don't even think about is anti-spam. I didn't list it on here because everybody knows about spam, everybody hates spam, but a lot of these tools actually come with anti-spam also. So then not only are you protecting from dangerous emails like phishing and social engineering attacks through email, you're also protecting your employees' time by getting rid of spam and getting rid of junk that they have to look through. You figure if they get 20 to 30 email messages a day that they have to weed through to find actionable emails, meaning emails that they need to take action on, work emails, they're losing a lot of time throughout the day. And the bigger your company gets, the more of that time adds up. And we've seen cases where companies were losing 50 to 100 hours a month of employee time across the board, obviously not per employee, just dealing with spam and junk emails. So a lot of these tools come with that also. But like I said, with 93% of attacks happening through email nowadays, having a good email protection in place is super duper important. And these are really affordable. These you can get on the individual computer level where it's protecting you writing your own Outlook through a software application, or even better yet, there's a lot of providers out there that all your email will flow into that provider first. It gets checked before it even gets to your mailbox. That's how we like to do it. It's an extra layer of protection, and it's, like I said, really important. Yeah. So email protection, I feel like everybody kind of understands, you need to have email security, but essential in any IT stack. And we have pen testing and vulnerability scanning. Now this one can get a little expensive. If you're a smaller office, 10 or less, you probably aren't doing this kind of stuff. Once you get up to 20 plus, especially if you start hitting like close to 100, you need to do this regularly. So there's a few differences here. So a penetration, well, we'll start with vulnerability actually, even though I listed penetration or pen testing first. Vulnerability scans, there's known documents out there called CVE documents, and there's a whole slew of them on the internet. And those documents basically describe what vulnerabilities are happening in what software packages. So software developers will post their vulnerabilities up to these documents saying, hey, Adobe version blah, blah, blah has this known vulnerability. A vulnerability scan goes through all your software, checks your computers, Windows updates, and software updates, and even your hardware. A lot of times, routers, switches, it looks for those vulnerabilities, those known vulnerabilities, and then gives you a report. And normally it will give you the remediation right in that report too, saying, hey, go get patch blah, blah, blah to fix this vulnerability. Super important. Pen testing takes that one step farther. It goes out and finds those vulnerabilities and then takes advantage of them and then gives you proof that it took advantage of them. And both of these, though, will give you the tools you need to go through and shore up and plug those holes. Like I said, though, these are a little higher level. They can get pretty expensive. I've seen pen testing go for anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000. A lot of IT providers now will start to include that in their main book of services, and it's just part of their package. We do that, and we feel it's so important that you need to have it. And trying to get somebody to pony up $10,000 once a year can be pretty hard sometimes. So we just decided it's included. You have to do it, and it's great. We find holes all the time that we didn't even realize we had, and we plug them. The vulnerability one, the pen testing, I recommend once a year at minimum. Vulnerability scanning, you're going to want to do that monthly at a minimum. We do it weekly and monthly. We do a light one weekly and a big heavy one monthly. And then we can supply those reports to our customers. Typically, we use them internally. We create our own tickets, and then we just go take care of them. Normally, the issues you're fixing with those don't cost money. They're just go do a patch, turn off a certain service, turn off a setting in the printers. Most people don't realize this, but they have their printer set to the default passwords when they took it out of the box. And there's some vulnerabilities with that. So this will look for those types of things and point them out to you. It's really a great way to discover what you got going on your network, both of these, pen testing and vulnerability. Vulnerability is a lot easier to do on a regular cadence than pen testing, though. So good. I think I'm on track with my time. Yep, we're about halfway through, and we're halfway through our time. We're doing good. Sometimes I get off on tangents and I get to talking, so I'll try to keep that to a minimum. So password managers for employees. This one is near and dear to my heart because most of our tickets that we get are people who can't log into their accounts. There's a lot of other values to having a password manager. We had a client recently where they were using a Word document saved on their server, and it was secured behind user security, so not everybody can see it, but it was also time consuming. So we set it up for them. We got them on our password manager. We roll it out. It's a company-wide and organization-controlled password manager. So there's a lot of value there. So you can get password managers where you just control it at an individual user level, but when the whole company is when it's an org-wide password manager, you can share passwords with each other real easily. It saves a lot of time. Like, let's say so-and-so is going on vacation and somebody else needs to get into an account that only they have access to. You can then give them that password right in the manager without having to write it down on a piece of paper and have it on a desk for somebody to see. That's dangerous. So, all right, back to the time saving. So this lady told us, like, I love this thing. It's amazing. I was having to spend 5 to 10 minutes every time I needed a password searching through this Word document. Now with my password manager, it's right in it's got a little app that's in the browser. It auto logs me in. It knows which site I'm at, and it just fills in the password, and I'm gone. She said she's saving like 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. That's big. It's huge, especially across all your employees. There's some other stuff. We like to enforce a clean desk policy. Clean desk policy means you don't have sensitive information like passwords sitting around on your desk. Well, there's another policy that every password for every site and every login you do should be completely different. Well, if you have 50 sites you log into, 10, 20 sites, I personally have hundreds. I couldn't memorize all the different passwords. I can't memorize 100 different passwords. So I would end up putting them on a piece of paper on my desk or a sticky note or under my keyboard. Huge vulnerability. I've seen cases where somebody walked in off the street and was stealing purses as what they were doing. But I've also seen cases where they've come in and seen passwords on desks where the website's written on the password, the login, the username, the password, all of it's right there. They take that information, they use their cell phone, snip at a picture real quick, leave. Now they're hacking whatever site that was. So password manager, you can get these very cheap. They are highly recommended. One more thing on this before we move on to the next slide too. Don't use your browser saved passwords. Those vulnerability scans and those penetration tests we talked about earlier, one of the things they do is they go find the encrypted file that is storing all those passwords on your local computer, and they can decrypt that. It takes minutes, not even. So if a hacker ever got into your computer, they'll take that file off to their computer, unencrypt it, and now they have all your passwords. So browser passwords, that is something we try to get turned off at every single company. We use their servers or their Microsoft Intune to say, don't allow saving passwords in browsers. Well, if you don't have a password manager, then they all end up on Excel spreadsheets or pieces of paper. So you really want to have your passwords locked down. Another nice thing about a password manager is that those encrypted versions of those passwords aren't living on the computer. They're living in a data center somewhere. And that data center typically has SOC 2 compliance. They are, to the nines with security compared to your small office. So your data, as far as password data, is going to be much more protected. like I said, ease of use. A lot of these password managers will also have a company-wide repository for stuff that you have where multiple people need to know the same password. So like sometimes people, this is not recommended, but they will have the same alarm code on their, their front door alarm for everybody, and they'll put that in there. Or they'll have an Indeed login because they want all of HR to share one Indeed login. And you can actually set security on those folders. So like only HR can access these passwords. Only project managers can access these passwords. It's really helpful when you're have an environment where you need to share a password with a whole department. Yeah, I can't talk enough about password managers. Changed my life. It feels like a big lift when you go to do it. You're like, I got 300 passwords. I'm not going to sit here and enter them all in. But it's one of those things, once you start using it, one, it'll help auto capture the passwords as you log in for the first time at that website. But two, it just builds up over time. Within a couple months, you typically can't live without your password manager. And I do recommend one thing when you're looking at password managers, actually, make sure it has a phone app. It's very handy to have that password manager accessible on your cell phone when you're out and about. I've used this personally. Even I'm at the airport and I need to log in to get my boarding pass, and I don't remember my password. None of it's saved on my phone, and I'll just go into my password manager. I can log into my airline's interface, and I got it all right there. Very helpful. So I could probably spend the next 20 minutes talking just about passwords, but we'll move on. We're going to run out of time. So dark web monitoring. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you get a phishing attack, you think, so somebody phished one of your employees. They got in their email. Well, they'll a lot of times gather information and hold on to that. So whenever let me go back a little bit. So what dark web monitoring is there's databases in the cloud where these hackers all pool their information together and share it and sell it to each other. You end up there in many different ways, but if you've ever been phished before, when we're looking at dark web monitoring, we see the numbers skyrocket on how many hits we get on those databases. So what dark web monitoring does is it goes out and looks at those databases. These providers that we use pay the hackers basically, or get access to those databases, and then give you the information based on what you feed it. So we'll take on a client, we'll put their domain name in the dark web monitoring, and any C-level people will take their personal email addresses and even add them into the monitoring. And it goes out there and just looks for hits on the dark web. It's out there browsing those servers, browsing those databases, and trying to look for your information out there. A lot of times it's just, personal information like name, address, birthday. Well, birth date's a little more sensitive, but like name and address and phone number or your email address that we find out there. Those are pretty low risk pieces of information. Those are in the phone book. They used to throw them on your driveway, once a year or whatever. The phone company would just throw that information out on your driveway. So that's not so scary, but we do find passwords in there sometimes. So if you ever got spoofed where you gave something your password and it was a nefarious place, that ends up on the internet, that ends up in the dark web. And you want these tools to go find that, because it'll show us the list of users and their passwords that are found for your company. And then we can go back and say, hey, if any of these passwords match what you're currently using, you need to change those like yesterday. So really, really a good one. And it's a lightweight one too. You can get this pretty cheap. Some of those next gen antivirus softwares actually come with that built in even. So pretty good. This one, I can also spend another hour talking about. Employee security awareness training. Not only are your emails the weakest link, 93% of attacks, there's a human interacting with those emails. The human is your second largest weakest link, or even probably the biggest. Most hacks happen from human error. A human makes a mistake. So if you're not encouraging your employees to talk about security, everybody keeps it hush hush. Like, if we don't talk about it, maybe it won't happen to us. That is a super bad approach. There's a lot of online training out there where you can track that your employees are doing it. Very important also. A lot of cybersecurity insurance forms you'll put on there that, yes, we require our employees do security awareness training once a month. If you don't do it, though, which we see all the time, like, yeah, we require it. We send out a video to our employees, they get a quiz, and then we go look at the stats, and 5% of people are doing it, 10% of people are doing it. When you have a security incident and you go back to your cyber insurance and fill out a form to, put in a claim, couldn't think of the word. You go and put in a claim, they're going to ask for proof of this stuff. When you say, yes, I was doing this, and you go to put in $1 million claim, they're not just going to be like, oh, sure, here's your money. No, they're going to say, show us the proof. And if you don't have a majority of your employees doing these security awareness trainings, or you said anything on that form, they're going to just deny your claim. and you're out the money. Now you're dealing with it on your own. And there's a statistic, it's a pretty popular one. Once a company gets ransomware or loses all their data, it's something like 90% of small businesses go out of business within 2 years, either from reputation harm, accounting harm. Like if the accounting system's wiped out, they don't know who owes them money anymore. It just causes all kinds of drama and trauma. And sometimes that cyber insurance is going to be the only way you stay in business because they cover a lot of the loss. So anyways, employee security awareness training should be ingrained in your culture. Somebody got a phishing email, don't just delete it and move on. They should talk about it with everybody else in the company. Keep that culture of talking about security, talking about awareness on security, little tidbits of something they learned throughout their travels that they could share with other employees. It's a great way to keep people aware. And normally they'll learn one little thing, even if it's redundant, even if everybody in your company is super aware of how to do, how to spot a phishing email. You still want them going through the trainings because it just reinforces it. It keeps it top of mind and honestly keeps the awareness alive. Awareness is the biggest thing with a lot of these issues that we find, that or how things get through. It was a lack of awareness. They were rushing. They weren't paying good attention, and they were expecting a document from this customer. They didn't realize the customer got hacked and the email was a little off. Maybe they should have done a little bit more. So security awareness training will normally enforce those types of practices and keep security top of mind for your staff. It's integral to your culture. All right, we got 3 minutes left. Holy crap. Okay, lifecycle asset tracking. We're going to speed through some of this stuff. So lifecycle asset tracking, it's proven that if you have equipment over 3 to 5 years old and you still have employees using it, you are running less efficient than your competitors, or you're more open to problems with that equipment, and you're not going to be able to keep up with your competitors. You're going to have downtime. You're going to have issues that come up that stop your employees from doing their work. So tracking your computers, tracking your router, tracking your switches, making sure they're not end of life, they're still getting updates. This will help you with budgetary type of deals. Right now, everybody's laptops are coming due that they got to take from home for when COVID hit. And that's all 3 to 5 years old now. They need to start getting replaced. And if they're not, you're running the risk of not being able to go to Windows 11, which is going to be pretty mandatory here soon. So keep track of your assets, try to spread out the replacements so you don't get hit in a budget, in your budget in 1 year where all of a sudden you have $50,000 worth of spend when it could have been $10,000 a year. It's a lot easier to digest, but you have to track it to do that. All right. Backups. I feel like this one is a no-brainer. Everybody knows backups are important. What a lot of people don't realize, though, is Microsoft doesn't back up your email. They don't back up your OneDrive. They replicate it to different data centers, but if it gets corrupted or deleted for more than 30 days, it's gone. Microsoft, right in their terms of service, says back up your data. We do not back up your data. So really important to still back up your email, back up your OneDrive, back up SharePoint. This is done very affordably. It's typically only a few dollars a user per month. So we back up Teams messages, we back up everything, and we keep it indefinitely. Even after an employee leaves, a lot of times we keep their data. Some regulatory, what do you call it? Some places, some industries have regulations that require that they even do this. We worked for a long time ago, stock exchange. They're required to keep every email from every employee in and out forever. So make sure you know your industry when it comes to that, but back up everything. And it needs to be immutable, on-site, off-site. Immutable means that it cannot be changed. So if some hacker gets in, they can't change your backups. We've actually seen that take down companies. We got a new customer last year where that happened. Their backups got erased they got encrypted technically from the hackers. They weren't immutable and they muted them and now they're useless. So that was a horrible thing. Documentation. This can save your tech team or even just your regular staff so much time. Having a visual map of where computers are, where switches are, where's routers. We love to even go so far as to say we know that XYZ computer is plugged into this port on the switch so that when we have an issue, we know right where to go. We're getting things back up and running faster, less downtime, more efficient for troubleshooting. And it just helps to have procedures also, like you have your document for how to onboard a user. Onboard a user and how to offboard an employee. We forgot to disable them in this one program, or we forgot to take their license away that we were paying $3,000 a year for. So documentation is really important. Maybe not $3,000, but $1,000. Revit, not cheap. You know, if you don't offboard your employee properly, we've seen it where you go in and they got 5 to 10 extra licenses they're paying for every year. That can really hurt you. Just under the wire. We got it right at the 30-minute mark. So in conclusion, everybody, pay attention to your IT systems. Make sure you have a good solid stack. That sandwich needs to be complete or it's not going to go down well. And you're going to be opening yourself up to a lot of risk, and not even just risk, inefficiencies in your business. You know, you can really, if you dial a lot of these things in, you can create a lot of efficiencies in your business where you're saving employee time. 5 to 10 minutes a day across 20 employees adds up to a nice chunk of numbers at the end of the year. With AI coming down, we are definitely going to have some more webinars where we're going to talk about AI. I know everybody wants to talk about AI right now, but if you don't even have a basic system in place where you have the basics taken care of, trying to move to those more advanced things like AI is going to be very difficult for you. So we really want to get you with these baseline systems in place, standardizations to get you there. So again, this is going to be available on YouTube. If you want to watch it later, or there's some key points you don't want to go over, all of our contact information's in there. You can reach right out to the president of our company, me. You don't even have to go through a Salesforce or any kind of craziness. You know, just reach right out to us. I love to talk about these things. Just even if you just want to, you know, get some free consulting, I don't mind. I love to tell people the how or the why and the what. You know, I'll even give away some how every once in a while. Normally I charge for that though, but you know, I try to help as much as we can. We're in the Mesa Chambers of Commerce right now. We're doing a lot of stuff through them. They have their tech summit coming up pretty soon here. It's really cool. There's gonna be a lot of good information if you're a small business and just trying to get this, you know, your first computer figured out. There's gonna be a lot of good stuff there for you guys. So any questions so far? Please put it in the chat. Grant, does any questions come up or anything?
No questions.
Well, I think we scheduled this for 45 minutes. I can give you guys all 15 minutes back on your day. And it was good seeing some of you. I recognize some names in here, and I haven't seen some of you guys in years, so it's great. Some of you guys I see every other week, though. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. And I appreciate you showing up. And hopefully there's going to be more great webinars to come. And we'll go from there. Toodles.